pull this off, and I can take all of this and I can just... What's up folks, it's 2bricks and I'm super excited to be bringing you another LEGO set review. This one is of course the first ever LEGO Star Trek set and is a very big deal indeed, so I had to take a break from doing all of the renovations that I'm doing to my shooting space right now and my studio to just quickly get this set up and shoot a review for you for this set because it is incredible. It needs to be talked about. There's a few things about it that I will discuss in the video that I don't actually like very much, but there's a ton about this to appreciate. This is an absolutely wonderful addition to the LEGO lineup, and I'm so glad that they have the ability to produce Star Trek sets now because I know that we're going to get some incredible stuff in the future. Judging by the reaction to this, I mean, I think it sold out within 24 hours and it was on back order till February. The gift with purchase, I'm going to talk about that later in the video. LEGO, you gotta cut this out. But the gift of purchase was gone, you know, almost immediately. I think within the first 24 hours it was sold out everywhere. So, you know, needless to say, this has been a success for LEGO, and this isn't so much a review for folks who are deciding whether or not they wish to buy this set, because the thing is about this is you pretty much already know if you're going to get it or not. If you're a diehard LEGO Star Trek fan and you like the look of this, you're going to get it, I'm pretty sure. And if you're a diehard Star Trek fan who obsesses about the details and things being exactly correct to how they were supposed to be depicted on screen, you're probably going to be annoyed by this set. So there's definitely not much that I can add that's going to sway you either way. So what I mainly want to focus on is the things that I find really enjoyable about this model and some of the things that I think, again, could have been done slightly differently and what I'm going to try to do in my own tweaks video that is going to be coming up soon. So strap in, we're going to take a look at the Enterprise D. It's an incredible set and there's a lot to talk about. So get comfy, grab your tea Earl Grey hot, and we're going to dive in and talk about it right now. So let's go. So 15 stickers on this, so not as bad as it could have been, and I think they are all very useful to certain things that needed to be on the ship. I did get the misspelled Boldigo plaque here, where they should have written boldly. So I'm going to be requesting a new sticker sheet from LEGO, and if you got that, you should do the same. And I think for an error of this scale, I don't know what the market is going to be like for people who collect misprints, but if you want to, you know, make a little profit back off of your Enterprise D model, you could probably try to sell your misspelled sticker there and see if anybody wants to buy it. So the extra parts here have a few interesting things, like we get one of these extra flexible hoses. These can sometimes be a little bit inconsistent in their length, so it's good that you have an extra one because you have to line a bunch of them up for the phaser ring or phaser strip on the top of the saucer section there, so it's good to have a spare. But yeah, some normal stuff here, and then there is the pieces to make one extra phaser, which I think is cool. I'm not the hugest fan of the phaser look. It's just a little bit stubby with relying on the cheese wedge piece there, but I really like that they included enough pieces in the spares to make a second one. So you could give, for example, Rolaren, who doesn't have an accessory, she can have one of these, or you can just have Worf double fisting, two-handing the phasers like he's going into super battle. Alright, and then starting here with Geordi LaForge, of course, got his visor looking absolutely fantastic. A great secondary face there as well, and he's got the engineering pack here, so pretty much exactly what you'd expect to see. I've seen people say that they don't care for the color selected for the gold uniforms, that it's too saturated, but I think it's as perfect a color as you could get with LEGO, and I'm really glad they didn't go with the standard yellow, but went with the flame orangish yellow. The printing on the torsos doesn't quite match the arms, but it's pretty close. Considering they're printing on black, I'm actually fairly impressed that they got it as good as they did. And I really like that they went to the extra effort as well of printing the black on the shoulders there to continue the black across for the uniforms. That's great. And then they just have the little collar indication right here, but no command pips. And so that's actually really useful because you can use these torsos for other crew members, and that's great. So yeah, absolutely love Geordi. He's a great character and he's a great representation. Worf gets the phaser. He's got the new combined hair and Klingon forehead ridges and eyebrows mold here, and looks absolutely fantastic. And what they did here for his, I'm going to call it bandolier because that's what Chewie has, but yeah, this thing, they have some silver metallic printing on here, and it looks really nice, and it catches the light really, really well. The only thing is that because the forehead ridge sort of mold here, because it sticks out so far from Worf's face, in a lot of pictures it actually looks like these two are different colored plastics, but they're not. They're actually the same. It's just that there's a deep shadow that's created underneath this part just due to how thick it is, and then that often makes Worf's face look like it's made of a darker plastic. But again, he gets a great alternate expression, and the backside of the minifigure as well looks really good, you know, continuing the print down, of course, for the not bandolier. I actually forgot what the name of that is. And also I didn't mention, but the comm badges look really, really nice too. They did a really good job with that, with two tones, with the metallic, the silver and the gold, so really, really nice on that. And yeah, Worf is just such a great character. They really did justice to this figure. I'm so glad they went with a new mold and not just like trying to print a couple of forehead ridges onto like a regular minifig head or something. This was definitely the way to go. Deanna Troi looking excellent here with her lavender uniform. They're still doing the cut-in graphics for the hips for the ladies, which I still don't think they need to have, but whatever, it's fine. But yeah, this is her lavender uniform that she wore in the earlier seasons of the show, and her accessory here is a wonderful printed tile, absolutely chocked full of detail, and it's got the little kind of sort of CG holographic cube there. It looks really, really great. I actually forgot what this was a specific reference to in the show, because I'm actually not the most in-depth Trek nerd, even though I've seen many, many, many hours of Star Trek in my life. But yeah, I forgot exactly what this is for, but it looks absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best printed tiles I think I've ever seen Lego do, so couldn't be happier with that. And I think that the choice for her hairpiece and her facial expression is really, really good. And the really, really smiley alternate face there works really, really well for Troi, because, you know, she's actually a very happy character for the most part, so I think that works really, really well. Data here, really, really like the choice of the tan skin tone for him. Absolutely great. Spot is a wonderful accessory, so to speak, to have. It's always good to get another Lego cat. I'm really a big fan of these molds. And then the yellow eyes and the no pupils, you know, it bothers people, but that's the new style. Lego is not doing dark pupils for colored eyes anymore, so that's fine. But then I think for Data it works really well. It actually like captures his cybertronic eyes or whatever a little bit better than if they had put pupils on it, so I think this is great. There's been some debate as to the color of his hair and if it should be dark brown or black, but when I tried to recall the color of his hair without looking at it, in my mind it was black, so I guess Lego went with what people remember rather than what's accurate. I don't know if other people remember it that way, but yeah, that's how I had remembered it. Next up is Captain Picard, and again, looking fantastic here. I'm really glad they didn't do the print for the hair. I think that would have been a little bit distracting, and I'm glad they didn't give him a bold cap piece either. I know those exist. I think the generic plain Lego head look is the way to go, and it looks absolutely fantastic. And he only has one expression, of course, because he's, you know, got no hair to cover up the second one, but I think that they chose a suitably good sort of neutral expression for him where it feels Picard-esque in a way that could be interpreted as either happy or more sour-faced, because he kind of does live in that range, so I think they did a really good job on that. The tea Earl Grey hot here definitely looks more like hot chocolate. It's like a solid brown color. I feel like there's a better choice for this, like there's a transparent dark orange color that they could have used, but that could have been mistaken for some other kind of beverage like whiskey or something, I guess. So I guess they wanted to play it safe here, and yeah, Jean-Luc Picard in this universe drinks hot chocolate, but that's fine. Next up is Will Riker, and he's got the very advanced space weapon here, known as a trombone. Now, of course, it's his regular old trombone that he has in the show, and it's a really nice build here with just a handful of parts, but it works really, really well. And they even give you this little stand here to place the trombone on when he's not using it. So I don't think that's strictly necessary to have. I think the display actually benefits from it not being there. But yeah, he looks really good, and again, with the alternate expression, I think they give just the right range of what you'd expect to see for Will Riker, and I think that the overall way that they did the beard and the graphic design and even the little kind of twinkle in his eyes and the one cocked eyebrow, it's absolutely perfect for Will Riker, and I think they really captured his spirit super well. Next up is Guinan, and Guinan looks, again, incredible. Her hat looks so good, and the molded, you know, the hairpiece that goes into that looks so good. She's got the, what is this, Romulan ale? Klingon whiskey? I forget what the beverage is, but for the purposes of Lego, it's apple juice, so it doesn't matter. The detailing on her uniform here, or her outfit, she doesn't really wear a Starfleet uniform, has just the right amount of detail in the graphic design for the wrinkles and stuff in her fabric, that it doesn't look distracting, and the molding on this new hairpiece is immaculate. It's so good. This has been the year for Lego molding new purple headgear pieces for characters. After we got the Palpatine's advisor from the Death Star, and now we have Guinan, and she looks incredible. So yeah, absolutely no qualms with this figure whatsoever. Next up we have Dr. Beverly Crusher, and I do think, I see what they were going for with the high cheekbones, but I do think that they exaggerated this just a little bit, and this to me looks more like a collectible minifigure, like Hollywood starlet stereotype with like a lot of plastic surgery, but I see what they're going for. You know, Gates McFadden does have prominent cheek lines, prominent cheeks there, but the lines are just very harsh on this one. So I don't know. Tell me down in the comments, do you like Beverly's cheeks or not? But the choice of the hairpiece is really, really good here. It captures her look perfectly. The dark azure color for the uniform looks absolutely stunning. So good, such a perfect color choice. And her accessory here is the, I'm gonna say tricorder. I forgot what they called it in next gen, if it was still called that. But again, absolutely fantastic level of detailing on here. You can really make out all the individual little buttons and elements to it. And so yeah, that's a really faithfully produced prop right there for Star Trek fans. So absolutely love to see it. And then finally, we have little Wesley Crusher here. Shut up, Wesley. You guys know the meme. And he's got his little tractor beam experiment here that he used to save the Enterprise in that one episode. So, you know, this is meant to represent a beam that is holding a ball in place. And then this is the actual device itself that's holding the thing. You get it. He's got the rainbow uniform there, which I love. That's Wesley Crusher's most iconic look to me. And I think that the choice of the medium legs combined with the choice of hairpiece and the kind of innocent facial expression, but not making him look too kid-like. It doesn't look like one of those Hogwarts figures where they have the sort of first year look, the really, really kiddie face. It's just right in the spot of where I think it should be for like a teenaged Will Wheaton. And I'm really, really, really pleased with this figure. Again, alternate expressions on this one. It gives you just the right range of what you'd expect to see for this character. I think the choice of accessory was an obscure one, but I'm glad that they did it because it's kind of an iconic moment for him in the show, and I can't really see what else they would have given him as an accessory. So that was a cool idea, and I like that they brick built this up and used just a classic tile piece here, nothing too fancy or special for that. So it's very Lego, and I really like that. So yeah, it's very, very nerdy, and I love the reference here to this specific episode. And we also do get the sticker with the Next Generation logo on it, although I think it was a weird choice to have the gray border around the edge when we have this on a black plaque. I feel like I would have just left the border off, to be honest. But yes, I do like that they had a little specific Next Generation text plaque there for this. So that's cool. Yeah, overall, between this and One Piece, I think we've had an absolutely banner year for incredible new minifigures being introduced for new themes, and I'm really, really impressed with all of these figs. They've clearly had a lot of love and attention put into making these by people who are really, really fans of the franchise, and they put the care and effort into make these absolutely, I don't want to say perfect, but really great minifigures. So well done to the designers and the graphic design teams on that. And we also get this little plaque here. So this is a nice printed element. It has, it features the Enterprise as we see it in Lego form. So that's really cool. I like that they didn't just go with a generic graphic of the actual ship. The texture of this particular sloped element is kind of the rougher texture on top. So it has a little bit of a unique feel to it with the print on top of that. And they went with the silver print for all these accent parts here, which again looks really nice and looks a little bit special. And they didn't make any spelling errors or factual errors on this, so that's awesome. The build is broken up into 2 instruction manuals, and they have the Star Trek branding here that's from, I guess, the sort of generic Paramount, current iteration of Star Trek branding, so not next gen specific, but that's fine. We do get the sort of minimalist renders here on the covers, and again, I don't really mind that anymore. I've kind of gotten used to it. And we get the typical information that you'd expect, especially regarding a new theme or a big expensive set. So a lot of in-depth stuff here about each of the figures, and then we dive into the actual ship itself, and then this is showing you how to handle the ship, although I don't think that's really necessary because this thing is very sturdy and easy to handle. The other thing is they did actually put in a little bit of extra information along the way. There's these little kind of asides that give you a little bit of background about the show, and then some of the specific parts of like what you're building and what that means, which is really cool. And it's actually something I've started to do myself with my own mock instructions. So it's nice to see myself and Lego both kind of thinking in the same terms in order to be able to up our game as far as user experience. So yeah, very cool. The instruction manuals are pretty good. So the Enterprise itself, you can see here the model is stunning. It's very Lego, and it really, really tries to capture all of the angles and things that you would expect to see on an Enterprise D, even down to things like this little bit of swoop back in the sort of pillars that support the nacelles. They really try to capture all that in a very authentically Lego way. They didn't rely on a lot of new elements. I think we only have 1 new curved element, I believe, for the top saucer section here, although there may actually be 2. But there are 2 unique curved elements that make up the actual outer edge here. I think one of them was a pre-existing mold, but they are printed up with the windows here that you'd expect to see on the edges. Again, that's been a somewhat of a minor source of controversy amongst Star Trek fans, is that why aren't there more windows on the actual set itself? But I actually think they struck the right balance, where you can see some windows represented in a certain way that is meant to be very specific, and the pattern around the edge of the dish here is quite specific. And I think that they did a good enough job with these prints to capture, what we see with those in a generic enough way. And also, I should just point out, like, having these elements here with the line down the middle, it really messes with your head when you're holding the thing. It feels like it should be 2 bricks thick, but it's a single brick with just a print down the middle. But I was like staring at this thing for a while, like, this feels wrong. It really looks like two elements sandwiched together as opposed to just one brick. But anyways, the way that they tackled all of the curves and the angles is simply ingenious. For the most part, they're using the correct slopes and angles to get just exactly what you want to see out of the various curves and angles, but they're also doing it in a way that is very Lego. Like, for example, the arches back here that make up the underside of this kind of the sloping back into the melting into the Cobra hood section right there. They're using just, stepping up the arches one plate at a time as they go back, and then giving you an impression of a curve, as opposed to trying to create something that is specifically curved, just to that exact shape. And I really, really like that. The choice of color here for the impulse engines I thought was a little bit odd in person. On camera it actually looks really good, but I remember those being red most of the time, but there's this they're the new sort of medium dark kind of intense orange color that they have. I don't remember the name of it. I think it's like papaya colored. It works well enough for, I believe the impulse engines shift colors between sort of a more orange like this and then into a deeper red when they're in use, or maybe that's vice versa. But yeah, I don't hate this, but I did question it a little bit, and I might end up switching a few options around just to see. But at least it's only 3 1x3 tiles that you have to switch, and it's easy to get some color swaps for those. I really like all the smoothness back here. Like the nacelles are very beautifully smooth, and the way that they're constructed is very simple, with just sort of a top and bottom construction that's sandwiched into some brick modifieds with studs on both sides along the middle here, and then that's what they use to get the blue strip. It's all really, really beautifully done and very artfully constructed as well. And I didn't even consider for the Bassard collectors up here, that's the red part, they're using 2 regular cylindrical bricks, the 2x2 cylindrical bricks that are then capped off at the front with the relatively new Super Mario elements that were introduced for the Super Mario sets, recolored in trans red, and they fit together in such a seamless way that it feels like this is all one specific piece that was designed for this, but it's not. It's a whole bunch of assemblies that go together, but they go together in such a beautiful way, and then they're kind of capped off with these nice sloped assemblies that do get narrower as they get to the front. And it's just all wonderful to see. It's purely Lego in the best way. The only thing that I truly think feels wrong, or objectively off, as objective as you can be when talking about a Lego set, is the shape of the deflector dish feels off. It's very oval, and I understand that that's because the pieces that exist currently within the Lego catalog, to be able to get this shape at all, you needed to have a specific arrangement of elements around the edge, and then they wanted to use the Speed Champions canopy pieces there, flipped upside down and then printed to give you the blue look, and that looks really, really good. It's just that the shape is incorrect, and we don't have any representation for sort of the inner ring, the sort of orange, and there's also orange that kind of goes around the edge, an outer ring. So we don't have any representation for that, and then also it really should sort of pinch towards the edges in a very nice sort of like an elegant, almost like a cat's eye kind of way, where it's like comes down, and this is just a pure round oval. So I'm not the first to say this, and a lot of people are already working on their mods, but I'm going to try to modify this section and see if there's anything I can do to tweak that up. But luckily this whole kind of front assembly just sort of snaps in with a bunch of ball joints, and you can really easily remove this whole part, including the cowling, and you can figure out if there's anything you want to do differently with that. I think if they had just angled it like at sort of 30 degrees facing down, I think that would have given enough of an illusion of the shape being overall more pinched in the corners that you actually would have gotten away with it. But the way that it is right now, just sort of mounted front on, it doesn't super duper work for me. The engineering that went into the dish is insane. The fact that the dish can be removed is nuts. The fact that it's only held in with this single element right here, which represents a tiny little shuttlepod coming into land, is crazy. And the fact that all of this feels very sort of soft and very flimsy when you are just holding it, but all of it is super strong and rigid and well constructed. Like, there's a lot of flex just due to like the way that a lot of these elements are put together, but it's so strong. And you can literally, like, you can pick this whole enterprise up from the back, which is insane. And the weight that's up here in the front that's weighing it down is tremendous. And the fact that you can just slip the dish in and out, super easy, no fuss. Pop it in there, and you can also pop the enterprise off of the stand because there's no studs connecting it, and you can just swoosh it around. Again, it's crazy. So my highest level of commendation to the designers in terms of that. But there are a few areas that I think the design could be tweaked slightly to be improved. So one area is up here we have the phaser ring, and I'm just not a fan of how this technique was done, where you have a flex tube that's running over the top of a bunch of studded elements. So it has this sort of lumpy feel to it where each one kind of bows up in the middle between the connection points. So I'm going to try to see if I can take a look at something for that. And then the saucer section here is very strong, and you can grab it from mainly the kind of support sections on the side, and you can grab it from the bottom, and you can grab it from the top, and you can flip it upside down. But there are some parts here that tend to be sort of, again, that sort of soft feeling that I was talking about, where there's a lot of things coming together, connecting in different ways, and then they end up feeling like not that stable in the final end product. But overall, the saucer section is very rigid and you can handle it. It's just you have to kind of be careful around the edges, and some of these panels you might end up caving them in if you handle it too hard, and it can get a little bit mushy, if that's a thing that makes sense. The body itself, or the sort of the secondary hull through here, is rock solid. So then this part, just because there's so many specific shapes and angles that they wanted to capture, ends up feeling a little bit less sturdy overall, but it still has a really solid central core of just standard sideways built construction that runs right through there, that just helps it lock in really, really tight, and, you know, gives you the confidence that it's not just gonna fall off. But look at the overall proportions here. I mean, look at how well they've captured all of this. I mean, it's just incredible. Like, I really never thought, first of all, I never thought we'd get to see Lego Star Trek in my lifetime, and I never thought we'd get to see a debut model this strong. I mean, think back to the early days of Star Wars, right? They were really messing around and having fun and just doing some crazy stuff, and it wasn't until much later that we started to get things that are this level of impressive. And of course, now we're in the modern day, and coming out of the gate swinging with this Enterprise, I'm just so impressed. So yeah, I think any little tiny negatives that I have are definitely outweighed by the overall positive feelings that I have towards this model. But I just want to take a second and show you some of the specific things that it can do, and some of the little features and things, and talk about some build techniques, and then we'll start to wrap up the video. But yeah, I think you know, if you want my kind of overall thoughts, it's such a glorious beginning to what I hope will be a long history of collaboration between Lego and Star Trek. So there's no real interior to speak of course, but we can lift off this little section here where we can see the inside of the shuttle bay, and of course there's another shuttle getting ready to take off, and this one is just attached on an inkwell piece. Does it bug me that these two look different, and that this one has just a hole in the top and this one has the brown on the top of it? A little bit, yeah, but I see what they were doing, and I'm totally cool with the overall effect. So this is the key right here that you pull out, and you know, the dish doesn't just fall off when you pull this out, right? But it is now loose, and you can remove the dish super easily, or the saucer section. And then once you put that back in, it's just fully secured. And the fact that that works as well as it does is absolutely genius. But the only drawback is that you end up with this permanently hovering shuttle right here that you can't really do anything with other than to have it sitting back there. And it does somewhat detract from the looks because it's such a bright little spot right there. It's just that white is calling attention to itself. So when you look at the model overall, sometimes I do wish I could remove this and put something else in its place. And I am going to be taking a stab at a new assembly that achieves the same thing, but that just blends into the ship and is still removable because you need to be able to take it out in order to access the saucer separation. So yeah, overall, I think this was a really, really clever solution that they came up with. A very ingenious way to build in some story elements to this, like you can see the shuttle is coming in to land or to dock, and that was cool, but I do want to think of an alternative. I really like the shaping overall on the bridge, and I think that the way that they blended in the dark tan kind of accents to give the sort of the similar effect to the Aztecing that they did, where they would paint the panels on the models to be different levels of glossy, so that as the light moves across the surface, you would see all these different panels kind of hit the light in different ways, and it makes it look very, very like handmade and realistic. So I think kind of doing a little bit of that with these different colors works really well. I do wish that the sticker quality here was a little nicer in terms of the match. You can see here the gray is very different on the stickers, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, let me show you a couple of the Easter eggs that we have throughout here. So number one, down in here we have a little octane indication here. So all of the parts where there are impulse engines, they are powered by octane fuel. So you have that one there. And then yeah, on the inside of the Bassard collectors here, you can also see octane reference as well. And so that just plugs back in there. The way that these little elements here with the Starfleet logo click into this exposed bit of bar assembly in here feels so smooth and nice and advanced. It really feels like a mock making technique that you'd see in, you know, in an advanced mock set, not in an official set. So that's super cool that they integrated that in there. And I think you can see here a little bit the difference between like the red and the orangish color here. And you can see why I think it's a little bit attention grabby, and I do want to see about swapping it out. But yeah, I really like that they got all three of the impulse engines in here. Even though you can see a little bit of the structure underneath here with this triple ball joint piece that holds the two halves of the secondary hull together. So, you know, this thing is built sort of studs facing that way, studs facing that way, two halves that then squish together, and then they get connected at three different points, top and below. And then you can see here there's a seam that runs right the way down the middle, where all of this is, you know, built separately, and there's very little that actually crosses over to connect them, but it's crossed over just enough that it becomes rock solid, and then you don't have to worry about anything happening. So super, super rigid construction. And you can see here how smooth they made everything and how much they attempted to keep it all, you know, purely Lego. Again, using this sort of stepping down technique with the slopes here that all kind of roughly amount to the shape that you want to get. It feels very Lego, it feels very right. It doesn't feel like it was cheating too much by using, like, you know, specialized new pieces to get these curves. So yeah, I think they got just the right balance for all of that. And taking a look at the model from below, so you can see here, like I was saying, that seam continues right the way through. So everything is basically built in mirrored halves and then connected towards the middle. Really nice use of all these different arched elements in here to really swoop that underside up. And everything is finished off very, very nicely. So you can see all of that there. This is just where you attach the stand. So like, you know, nothing connects it in. It's just the friction and just the tension of all of that works really, really well. And then this whole front section here is kind of its own thing that can come off. Although it probably will disassemble on you a fair bit when you do, but I'm going to try to pop this off later and for a separate video show my thoughts for how that could be done differently. But you can see again in here, very well finished off. You know, we're not seeing undersides of plates, we're not seeing Technic structure, there's very minimal gaps. It's all just done so tightly and well, and even the decision to have this be a sticker, and then on the opposite side, I'll show you that again up close, is the printed element that has the registry there. It was a good decision because, you know, you're not looking at the bottom as much, and then the top you can kind of splurge a little bit on a printed element for that, so it looks extra nice. Here we have the representation for the captain's yacht, and again we're using this nice technique here where we're clipping in one of these shield pieces. So this time the shield element has a handle on it, so we have a clip down in here that holds that, but it's the same exact idea where you clip it in and then it just sits right just on the surface where it has just the tiniest bit of relief, and it looks, you know, perfectly blended into the structure. So really, really great. I do think this section in here feels a little bit kind of messy, a little bit busy, although you could just read those as, you know, the windows, the missing windows, and you could read these as that as well. But I do think that there's probably a way to maybe smooth some of this out just a tiny bit, whether it's putting an assembly over the top to cap it off, almost in a similar fashion to how they cap these off, but something that could cover this gap up a little bit, or, you know, this kind of messy combination of wedge plates. But I mean, overall, it's so hard to find things to nitpick about this because it just works so well. Like, yeah, okay, the angles for these, so these are the solid kind of pillars that come out, right? And then so you have these actual slope bricks in here, and then you have the panels that kind of almost match the angles perfectly, but there's like a little bit of offset in the angles between each of these and the panel parts. But like, it's so close that you like, once you squint your eyes, you really don't feel that there's a difference. It really feels so right. And especially the fact that they got the the oval to feel so smooth around the outside. I think that's what really sold it. The dish, or the saucer section, I keep calling it the dish, the saucer section was feeling very unpleasant and very clunky and very chunky, and then it's like a magic trick. You put these parts on the end and all of a sudden it feels beautiful and smooth and like rounded, and you don't even notice that these parts terminate at like a kind of a square angle here, because it all just blends together super well once you do that. So yeah, this thing really does feel like magic. And I mean, just look at this. I'm picking this thing up with one hand and I'm moving it around at all different angles, and there's no fear of that front section of the saucer section coming off when I don't want it to. And this is a Lego model. That's absolutely incredible. And what really gives it its strength is the fact that most of it is brick built on its side, like snot techniques, but they're changing directions multiple times, and they're giving you all these different ways of diffusing the weight down through the structure. And that neck is engineered insanely strong. And this thing is, I mean, it is just a marvel of modern day Lego engineering. The fact that the Lego designers today in 2025 are able to produce this is a testament to how skilled they are. And whenever there's an issue with a Lego set, I like to err on the side of it's because of limitations of like the Lego kind of product guidelines, more so than anything that the designers could have done better, because the designers at Lego are incredible. I mean, the evidence speaks for itself. And of course, the main feature that everybody wanted to know about when they first announced the Enterprise: can the saucer section come off? And you can see there, it's so easy. Yes, it can. I actually did drop this earlier on when I was doing a little test to see. I grabbed it in the wrong spot. I thought I was grabbing one of the support struts, but I actually was not. And I dropped it, and it broke a little, but it was really easy to put back together. But you know, overall, the dish is the saucer section is super sturdy. And if you can just pick it up like one hand underneath, and you could just take it away like it's a serving tray or something, and then you just slot it right back in. And it just, all it is literally just one little brick under here that engages with this little shelf under here, and it just clicks into place. And the weight of the overall set keeps the sort of the gravity, I guess, keeps the weight pushed back, and then it engages under there, and it will not come off unless you pull it off. So yeah, it works amazingly, and just be wary that you don't drop it. But yeah, it's an incredible feat of engineering once again. I mean, I think that's the theme of this video really, is that Lego have engineered the crap out of this set. So one slight point of concern that I do have for the long-term stability of this model is the fact that a lot of what makes the saucer section connect together is relying on Lego clip elements. And Lego clip and bar connections are nice and sturdy in the beginning, but I have found that after a few years, even a set that is kept in pretty pristine condition and not messed with and just sat on a shelf, you try to take the clips apart and they will just disintegrate on you, at least the part that engages with the bar. And I don't know if I'm alone in that issue, but I've always found that to be the case. So sets that rely really heavily on clips in a structural way tend to be a bit of a question for me. I've actually stopped using Lego clips to do anything structural myself quite a while ago, to try to avoid that very issue. And I also did notice there's a couple of elements here, like these. See, this part right here doesn't want to sit flat. You do have to every now and then take those elements apart, squish them back together, and then reassemble some of it in order for it to really stay locked in the way that you would want to. So I am just curious to see, 2-3 years from now, how this would hold up under scrutiny. Would it still look as sharp and well put together as it does now? I don't know, I'll be interested to see. But Lego's constantly changing and improving the techniques that they use and the molds that they use for their parts, and changing the thickness of a certain element by like 1/4 of a millimeter or whatever to see if that improves the strength or whatever. So yeah, maybe they'll be fine, but I am just a little bit worried about it. And I really would like for the phaser ring here to be able to sit flat instead of bowing like it does. That is bugging me a little bit. But yes, overall, I'm incredibly impressed with this set, and I'm really happy with the fact that we're getting Star Trek sets now. And there's so many more ships that I would like to see Lego do, and I hope that we get some in the near future. So, fingers crossed. If they do them at this sort of scale and they don't go above the sort of $400 range, I think there's a lot of ships that would be really cool to see that are possible to make at that scale. And I don't think they need to be in scale with one another. They just need to be roughly, this size so that they're nice and impressive. And then I would love to see Lego also move into sort of a more midi scale range where we're getting sort of $60 to $80 sets that depict ships in a more compact package, but that still have a lot of the details that we want to see, similar to what LEGO's currently doing with the Star Wars midi-scale fleet. Here's hoping. I think that, like I said, this set has been a big success for LEGO, so, you know, thinking that we're probably going to get some more soon. There's probably, the next one is probably already in development, probably quite far along, I would say. So yeah, I think we're definitely going to see some more in the future. So here's hoping that they do some other cool ships. I don't want to only just see Enterprises. I'd love to see a Klingon, a bird of prey. I'd love to see different shuttle pod designs and things like that. I'd love to see star bases even. Like there's tons of other cool stuff in Star Trek that isn't just Enterprises. And of course we have the other hero ships like Voyager, Discovery, etc., etc., etc. So there's plenty of source material for LEGO to pull from, plenty of other crews, plenty of other characters that they can make into awesome minifigures, different, you know, tons of different uniforms just for these characters alone. The amount of uniform changes that they have in Starfleet is kind of insane. It's almost like it was made to sell toys, even though I don't think that's really the primary motivator of it, to be honest. I think it's just the audience members can have a quick read on which era of Trek they're looking at by the uniforms. But regardless, yes, this is a very exciting time, and I'm very thrilled to be to have the set. I'm thrilled to own it and to have it in front of me. And again, a massive thank you to King's Knight Bricks. I shouted him out on Instagram for actually providing this set to me for review and then letting me keep it even. So my goodness, what an amazing friend you are. So thank you so much for making this review possible. And yeah, we're off to the races with this. Incredible stuff. So yeah, let's dive in and take a look at the gift with purchase really quick and give you my salty thoughts about those. All right, so here is the gift with purchase Shuttlepod, the specific one Onizuka, which is a really nice looking build. And not only is it really nice looking, it functions beautifully. So we have doors that open on the sides, which flip up all the way really nicely like that. We have really nice detailing, top, bottom, side, front, back. It all looks great. So you could place a Rolaren in there. It has a little Easter egg in here with the console piece. So I'll see if I can get a good shot of that so we can see the Romulan Dideridix class in there. That looks awesome. We have the really nice kind of flush design here, the way that all of these different panels are connected and they all, you know, seamlessly meet up together. Stickers look great here. The engines look really good, and they're using the clearback stickers, so they don't have as much of an issue with the matching of the parts, but you do get a little bit of bubbles that can be visible, so you have to just kind of burnish those out as best you can. Brick separator works really well for that. You can just sort of burnish it without damaging the sticker too badly. And then yeah, so the whole way that this is done is excellent, and I absolutely love it. And then of course we have our Rolaren figure. She is absolutely beautifully captured here with the nose ridges and the earpiece, you know, the Bajoran earpiece there. Absolutely incredible. And they even went so far as to get the actress's teeny tiny little mole right there underneath her mouth. So they really paid attention to the details on this one. You can see here she has the alternate face where she's a lot more mad, and that of course is also very fitting for her character. And we have some extra parts right here, nothing interesting to speak of. So this is an excellent gift with purchase set. It's good in every way that a LEGO set can be good. Even down to the fact that if you don't want this to be specifically the Onizuka, you can remove just this sticker right here and you won't lose, or you know, omit this, and then you won't lose the logo here for the Federation striping and all that, because you know this is a separate sticker. Fantastic, right? Everything about it is great. You can see through this window. I mean, these are the really dark transparent pieces that they've switched to, so you actually can't really see through, but in theory you can see through it, right? So they did everything right with this, but I am so frustrated with the release strategy of LEGO becoming increasingly more, you know, towards the elitist way of doing things, where people who have the most money can jump in there and grab the set immediately, and everyone else who wants the set and can't afford to wait 2 days to get the gift with purchase misses out and will never have the opportunity to purchase this again. LEGO, if you're listening to this, and if you must do this, please make this be a different way of doing things. Like, if you need to keep this as an exclusive set for a while, maybe a 3-month window where you can only get this set if you buy it early with the Enterprise, and then release this as its own product. Release the set for $30 and people would buy it. Release it for $20 and they'd really want to buy it. You know, even 6 months down the line, some exclusivity window is fine by me. But to say that once it's gone, you'll never be able to get it again, and it's only available for 2 or 3 days, and your website is functionally broken for the first 5 to 6 hours that the set is available, because the tech behind the website is so old and so outdated that it just simply breaks whenever a large amount of people try to access it. All of that is really, really harmful to the buying experience, to the joy that is supposed to come with Lego, and to the joy of having a new theme to get excited about. And then you're potentially missing out on one of only 10 Star Trek figures that currently exist that you can potentially never get your hands on, because the price to get this figure on the aftermarket will be prohibitively expensive, and also to miss out on the Shuttlepod, which is an excellent little build. I think that you're doing your designers and your graphic designers and everybody a disservice by producing sets of such high quality and then stuffing them away behind such a limited time and paywall, and I really, really don't like it. If, like I said, if there needs to be this incentive, this draw to buy on day one, then you need to make up for that down the road by making these available. Even, just put it as a VIP points exclusive. You have to spend whatever it is, 1,000, 2,000, however many VIP points it takes. I don't actually know the calculations for the cost of everything, but to say, okay, well, the figure, we're going to put that in a different set, and we're going to release a separate set, maybe not the Shuttlepod, but something else. But just to be able to get the exclusive elements from this and not feel like you're missing out, because it really is, it feels predatory, and it feels like it's exploitative against people's fear of missing out, which of course a lot of people have, and especially when it's a collector item, tons and tons of people are going to be trying to get their hands on this. And they even had a limit of 1 gift with purchase per household. And so, like, if you have 2 kids and you get 1 gift with purchase and you buy 2 Enterprises, what are your kids supposed to do? Like, say, you had twins and they both love Star Trek and you wanted to get them each a set, and you're only limited to 1 shuttle per household. To me, all of that feels icky. I don't like it, and I think if Lego's going to make really awesome gift with purchases that feel like they really, really belong with the set, as this does, they need to do something different in their release strategy. So rant over. I know that was a long rant about something so small as this, but it really is, it messes up the equilibrium of the whole hobby when people are scrambling to try to get access to something that's only going to be available for like 48 hours, or face spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get it on the aftermarket, and that's just not practical for a lot of people. Please, I'm just begging you, Lego, please reconsider. You're the biggest toy company in the world. You don't need to do these slimy marketing tactics. People will buy your sets because they're good. So just do things better. Thank you. But yeah, the set itself is really good. All right, folks. Well, that's about going to wrap up my thoughts for the Enterprise and for the launch of the Lego Star Trek theme. Very, very exciting, and overall, I think incredibly positive. I did want to discuss value for a second. This is a $400 set, and for the amount of parts you get, for the amount of plastic you get, and for the display model that you end up with, I do think that is a relatively fair price. Of course, if you can get it on discount, especially if you missed out on the gift with purchase, then you should probably go ahead and try to get it for maybe around 320 seems really good, 350 seems acceptable, 400 is asking a little much. But I think if you're a Star Trek fan and you just simply need to have the Enterprise D in your life, you're gonna love this set. Especially if you really relish in the building process and you take your time and you really enjoy putting it together. There's a lot of great stuff to love here, and the way that everything comes together is incredibly satisfying. So I've actually been talking with a lot of my friends who've been sort of steadily falling off of the Lego hobby because there's just not that much there that interests them right now, and Star Trek has brought them right back in. They're just as excited as they were, back in the day when their love of Star Wars was new and shiny and fresh. And over the years, they've become a little bit less interested, and now they've been pulled right back in. So this is definitely going to be a big theme, and I just really hope that Lego doesn't continue to do these annoying gift with purchase shenanigans and things like that in future, especially when it comes to sets that they know are going to be really, really popular. So there's only that to talk about in the negatives, really, and the very few super minor gripes that I had with aesthetics and potential stability concerns, but overall I think this is incredible. The other thing I wanted to quickly touch on is Blubrixx was the company that had the rights to do Star Trek building sets before Lego, and they did many, many really nice models over the years, and they actually did do an Enterprise D back in the day, and that's really the most direct comparison to make between an existing building toy and the Lego version. And I'm actually really, really glad that Lego did go with the plate built saucer section where everything is made of individual plates that click together in a really satisfying gap-free way, and it's a really excellent building experience. And I think that what Blubrixx did, the solution that they had for their saucer section with a lot of different curved slope elements, is perfectly fine and valid, and a valid way to interpret that shape. But I'm actually really glad that LEGO didn't go that route and pretty much exclusively saved those kinds of techniques for the lower and back section of the secondary hull, where it's a little bit more forgiving. But I think if you try to emulate a giant oval dish in that way that's supposed to be relatively flat and sleek looking, I don't think it would have turned out nearly as good as what this is. So I'm actually super glad the technique that LEGO went with, which I know is something that I've seen a few people gripe about. They feel that they wish that they had gone more of the Blubrixx route, but then of course, not only in my opinion would it not have looked as good, but LEGO would be accused of plagiarism for taking Bluebrixx's design and just re-releasing it essentially. You know, it's a similar scale. I think the LEGO one's a little bit larger, but what they've been able to achieve just using regular LEGO system building without even like a Technic frame underneath of it all, it's just pure LEGO system, is absolutely breathtaking. And I do hope that you get to actually experience building this one for yourself someday, even if you haven't gotten a hold of it yet. I think that it's definitely worth your time and some of your money. Maybe not as much as LEGO's asking for, but yeah, it's definitely not a disappointment in any way. So those are going to conclude my thoughts. Thank you so much to my patrons for the year 2025. We've done really cool stuff on Patreon. And for patrons, I'm constantly tweaking and thinking about different perks and bonuses and things that I can offer. This month I've been super busy with all of my renovations, and the rest of December I'm going to be busy as well. So what I'm going to do, instead of the usual patron perks of a new mock in the form of a mini land build, I'm actually going to be releasing some instructions for free on there to patrons that usually you'd have to purchase through my Rubrickable page. And so hopefully that's going to compensate you for the support that you've given me and for the lack of videos I've been doing lately, as I've been kind of retooling my entire channel way of doing things. So thank you so much for your patience and for continuing to support me and my work. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait for 2026. We have some really cool stuff coming down the pike, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So I'm just gonna get back to doing what I do. Star Wars ship designs are incoming for patrons who've all gotten their Star Wars character avatars already. So the ships will be coming in 2026. And like I said, instructions will be dropping for some exclusive models just for you guys as well, that you'll be able to get as long as you're still active. So thank you. I'm gonna see you on the next video. I'm gonna try to do these modifications to the Enterprise as quickly as I can, but it may end up being in the new year. But yeah, my main focus right now is getting my studio ready for the big relaunch of 2bricks in 2026. So thank you guys so much. I'm gonna see you in the next video, and make sure you keep boldly going where no one has gone before.